My world shattered in 3 seconds flat when my father's voice, cold as a Boston nor'easter, sliced through a glittering gala throng. Remove this intruder. I'm Abigail Thornton, 34 years young, a wealth manager who spun gold from Boston's markets while my own kin treated me like a bank vault with no lock. If you've ever poured your soul into folks who only eyed your purse, hitch your wagon to mine. This tale's for you. And if it strikes a chord, hit that subscribe button on my YouTube channel for the latest chapters of my redemption. At the crest of my career, my office on Beacon Hill shone with mahogany and grit, each client's fortune a testament to 16-hour days and a nose for market wins. But my family? Pa, Ma, Sister Sophia, and brother Liam saw not Abigail, but dollar signs. Sophia, with her honeyed charm, could charm a snake from its skin, her every whim gilded by our parents' praise. Liam, the reckless prodigal, stumbled through life with their indulgence as his crutch. Me? The middle child, my straight A's shrugged off, my math trophies met with yawns. I clawed my way through college on scholarships and sweat, while Sophia's private school and Liam's escapades flowed from the family coffers. For years, I bankrolled their dreams. $80,000 for Sophia's lavish wedding, $25,000 for Liam's doomed ventures, countless checks to keep Pa and Ma's Back Bay mansion afloat. When Ma called last spring, her voice sweet as molasses, my heart leapt. Abigail, dear, our 40th anniversary calls for a grand gala at the Fairmont Copley Plaza. I pictured us toasting as one, a family at last. The deposit, $20,000, left my account without a blink. I added a pair of $6,000 Rolexes wrapped in velvet, dreaming of Pa's rare smile. April 15th dawned sharp and bright. Boston's skyline a promise of belonging. My Chanel gown whispered elegance, my hair swept into a chignon, gray strands hinting at battles fought. The Fairmont's golden lobby glowed, chandeliers casting dreams. I clutched the gift box, heels clicking on marble, heart alight with hope. But at the ballroom's edge, a guard's hand barred me. Name? He growled. Abigail Thornton, I said, smile steady. His radio crackled, and Pa's voice rang out, remove this intruder. The words struck like a lash, the crowd's murmurings a rising tide. What I did next set my soul free, but that's a tale for those who stay. Subscribe now, and let's walk this road together. The Fairmont's golden glow faded as I stumbled into Boston's night, my Chanel gown a mockery of the hope I'd worn like a crown. The security guard's grip on my elbow lingered in my memory, a brand of shame. But it was Pa's voice, intruder, that clawed at my soul. I drove through Back Bay's gaslit streets, the Charles River a dark mirror to my unraveling heart. My condo on Commonwealth Avenue with its high ceilings and solitary comforts waited like a friend who'd seen me at my worst. I collapsed on the velvet sofa, the Rolex gift box staring on the coffee table, its velvet accusing. My phone buzzed, Natalie, my rock since our college days, her voice a lifeline. I couldn't speak, only sob. But she was there in 20 minutes, her arms a fortress against my crumbling world. She didn't ask for details, just held me as the tears carved rivers through my makeup. When I could breathe, I opened my laptop, driven by a sudden need to face the truth. My financial software, meticulous as a Puritan's ledger, held a decade of my family's demands. I had tracked every dollar, a habit born of my trade, but never dared sum the total. Natalie poured wine, her silence a steady anchor as I clicked through entries. The numbers climbed like a fever. $15,000 for Sophia's wedding bachelorette in Miami, $22,000 for Liam's first failed brewery, $80,000 for Ma and Pa's mortgage over 3 years. My fingers trembled as the software sped out the final figure, $400,000. $400,000 bled from my accounts to buy a love they'd never give. Then came the second blow. A notification pinged, an unauthorized charge on my card, $5,000, from a discreet Boston club known for high-stakes poker. Liam's name wasn't on the transaction, but his gambling habit, whispered about at family dinners I was rarely invited to, roared into focus. I cross-checked my accounts, heart sinking. He'd accessed a trust fund I'd set up for emergencies, siphoning $10,000 without a word. The betrayal wasn't just neglect, it was theft, calculated and cold. Natalie's eyes blazed as she scrolled through the evidence. My grief hardened into something sharper, a resolve as unyielding as Boston's granite. I'd been their fool, dressing their lives in my wealth while they locked me out of their hearts. No more. The Rolexes meant for Ma and Pa would never reach their wrists. I'd sell them, I decided, and use the money for something worthy of my soul. The night stretched on, but my mind raced with plans, not of revenge, but of reclamation. I'd cut every financial tie, expose their schemes, and build a life where my worth wasn't measured in dollars. The road ahead loomed steep, but I'd climb it, one defiant step at a time. Morning broke over Boston, the Charles River glinting like a promise I was determined to keep. My condo silence, once a refuge, now thrummed with purpose. The sting of Pa's intruder and Liam's secret theft burned fresh, but I'd wept my last over their treachery. My laptop glowed on the kitchen island, a battle station for the war I was about to wage. I poured coffee, its bitterness matching my resolve, and called my assistant, Rachel, a sharp-eyed ally who'd seen my family's calls drain me dry. She arrived at 10, her laptop bag slung like a soldier's kit. I laid out the night's revelations, the $400,000 I'd given, Liam's $10,000 trust fund grab, the gala's crushing betrayal. Her jaw tightened, but she wasted no words, diving into action. We pulled up every financial thread tying me to my family, a web of obligations I'd woven in blind hope. First, the Fairmont charges. Beyond the $20,000 deposit, they tacked on $6,000 for a champagne tower and live band, built to my card without a whisper. I dialed the event manager, my voice steady as granite. I approve the deposit, nothing more, I said, cutting through her cautious tone. Cancel the additional charges and bill Charles and Margaret Thornton directly. She hesitated, then agreed, promising confirmation. Next, I redirected the deposit to a women's shelter in Roxbury, anonymous, a quiet rebellion against my family's greed. The yacht charter for their Cape Cod anniversary cruise, booked for July at $15,000, was my next target. The booking agent warned of a cancellation fee, but I waved it off. Refund my card and don't notify the travelers, I instructed, savoring the thought of their shock. The Hawaii trip for Sophia's family, a $12,000 gift for her kids, stung to cancel. I pictured their wide eyes, innocent in their mother's schemes, but I couldn't untangle them from her betrayal. I'd send them books for Christmas, I decided, but the trip was dead. Liam's $8,000 loan for his latest venture, a crypto scheme reeking of desperation, hadn't been touched. My bank froze the account in my name, Rachel confirming with a nod. The country club dues, $7,000 from Ma and Pa's social climbing, I let lapse with a single call. By noon, every tie was severed, my accounts lighter but my spirit soaring. Rachel's eyes met mine, a question unspoken. I knew the storm was coming, my family's rage would be a tempest, but I had faced their cruelty in the Fairmont's glare and found steel in my bones. I drafted an auto-reply for their numbers, financial support terminated, no further inquiries. It would activate at dusk, a guillotine on their expectations. The city hummed outside, unaware of the revolution in my heart. I was no longer their vault, I was Abigail, and I was free. The sun dipped low over Boston, painting the skyline in hues of fire and resolve. My condo, once a sanctuary of solitude, now felt like a fortress, its high windows framing a city I was reclaiming as my own. The cancellations were done. Yacht, Hawaii, Liam's loan, the country club, all severed with the precision of a surgeon's blade. Rachel had left hours ago, her quiet, "You've got this," lingering like a benediction. My phone sat silent, but I knew the calm was a fleeting guest. My family would come, their fury a tidal wave, and I was ready to meet it. I paced the hardwood floors, my bare feet grounding me in this new reality. The spreadsheet Rachel and I had built glowed on my laptop, a ledger of a decade's exploitation. $400,000 in gifts and loans, plus $10,000 Liam had siphoned from my trust fund. But another discovery had shaken me deeper. In my bank's records, I had found a hidden attempt. Liam had tried to access a second trust, one I hadn't known existed, set up by my grandmother, Esther. The bank had flagged it, requiring my signature, which he had forged and failed to secure. The trust's value? $50,000, untouched, a secret my parents had never mentioned. The betrayal cut sharper than the gala's humiliation. Esther, with her warm eyes and quiet wisdom, had been my only ally, her stories of Boston's old days a balm to my childhood slights. Had she known how they'd use me? I pushed the thought aside, focusing on the task at hand. I emailed my lawyer, Clara, attaching the trust fund evidence and the forged signature. "Investigate this," I wrote, my fingers steady. "I want every legal option."
Claire's reply was swift. The forgery was actionable, potentially criminal. I didn't want Liam in jail, but I needed leverage, a shield against their coming storm. I printed the spreadsheet, its pages a map of my misplaced loyalty. Each line, Sophia's Miami bachelorette, Pa's golf trips, Ma's boutique sprees, stoked a fire in my chest. I wasn't just cutting them off, I was rewriting my story. The Fairmont donation to the women's shelter had been my first act of defiance, but now I planned more. The $6,000 from the Rolexes sold that morning would seed a scholarship for kids escaping toxic families. It wasn't revenge, it was redemption, a way to turn my pain into purpose. As dusk settled, my auto-reply activated, a silent declaration of war. The city's lights twinkled below, each a spark of possibility. My family's rage would crash soon, but I stood taller than their scorn. I was no intruder in my own life. The battle was coming, and I'd face it with the grit Esther had seen in me, the strength I was only now claiming as my own. Night cloaked Boston, the city's pulse a steady hum beyond my condo's walls. The auto-reply had been live for hours, a digital sentinel barring my family's demands. My laptop screen cast a pale glow, the spreadsheet and Clara's email, a testament to my unraveling past. Liam's attempted theft of grandmother Esther's $50,000 trust gnawed at me, a betrayal deeper than the gala's sting. But I'd shed no more tears. My heart, once a beggar for their love, now beat with a fiercer rhythm, defiance, tempered by purpose. I rose from the kitchen island, the coffee cold but my resolve molten. Natalie texted, promising takeout and moral armor. As I waited, I dug deeper into the trust's origins, calling the bank's after-hours line. The manager, voice crisp despite the hour, confirmed Esther had set it up a year before her death, naming me sole beneficiary. My parents, listed as advisors, had never disclosed it. The realization hit like a nor'easter. They'd planned to bleed me dry while hiding Esther's gift, a lifeline meant to free me. Natalie arrived, her arms laden with Thai food and indignation. She read Clara's email, her eyes flashing. "They're vipers, Abigail, but you're a lion." We ate in silence, the city skyline a glittering backdrop to my gathering strength. I opened Instagram, a hunch prickling. Sophia's latest post showed Ma and Pa at the gala, cutting a towering cake I'd unknowingly funded. Her caption gushed, 40 years of love, celebrated with our unbreakable family. Liam's post followed, flaunting the yacht charter as his gift, a lie that twisted the knife. The posts weren't just boasts, they were a performance, painting me out of their story. My fingers itched to reply, to expose their fraud, but I held back. Clara had advised restraint. Public shaming could weaken my legal stance. Instead, I drafted a letter to the bank, formally locking the trust fund and requesting an audit of all family access attempts. The act felt like reclaiming a piece of Esther, her faith in me a beacon through the fog of betrayal. Natalie watched me, her nod a silent vow of alliance. The scholarship idea, born from the Rolex sale, took sharper shape. I name it for Esther, a fund to lift others from the shadows of families like mine. The thought steadied me, a counterweight to the chaos I knew was coming. My phone buzzed, missed calls from Ma, Pa, Sophia, Liam, their voicemails a rising tide of fury.
I didn't listen. Let them rage. I'd built my life on precision, on seeing through market lies. Now I'd apply that clarity to my blood, cutting through their illusions with the truth they couldn't dodge. The night stretched on, but I stood unbowed, ready for the storm I'd summoned. Dawn crept over Boston, its light soft as a whisper against my condo's windows. The city stirred, but I'd been awake for hours, my mind a churn of plans and reckonings. Liam's trust fund theft and my family's gala lies sat heavy, but I'd traded despair for a steely calm. Natalie had left past midnight, her fierce hug a reminder I wasn't alone. My phone, silenced but glowing with notifications, bore the weight of my family's wrath, 42 missed calls, texts sharp with venom. I ignored them, my focus on the war ahead. I stood at the kitchen island, the spreadsheet my battle map. Clara's audit request was in motion, but I needed more, a shield against the legal traps my family might spring. I called Rachel, her voice steady despite the early hour. I need every document tied to family transactions, I told her. Loans, gifts, credit card charges, everything. She arrived by 8, her laptop a second sword in our fight. We unearthed a paper trail of deceit, emails from Ma promising repayment she never intended, Liam's vague IOUs for ventures that vanished like smoke. One find stopped me cold. An old letter from Pa thanking me for a $30,000 gift to save their home. I'd wired it as a loan, their desperation vivid in memory. Yet they'd rewritten history to dodge repayment. Rachel's eyes met mine, her silence loud with understanding. We calculated the interest on these loans, $90,000 lost to time and trust. The total, with the $400,000 given, neared $500,000, a fortune I could have used to build schools, not prop up their greed. I leaned back, the Charles River glinting outside, its flow a mirror to my shifting heart. The scholarship for Esther's name grew clearer, a fund for young souls escaping families who saw them as means, not ends. I'd fund it with the trust's $50,000, a defiant act of legacy. But first, I had to secure it. Clara's email pinged. Liam's forgery was under investigation, with potential fraud charges looming. I didn't want him caged, but the threat was leverage, a way to keep them at bay. By noon, Rachel and I had organized the documents into a binder, each page a brick in my fortress. My family's texts grew desperate, Sophia's pleas for her kids, Ma's crocodile tears, Pa's threats of disownment. I felt their pull, the old guilt flickering, but Esther's memory anchored me. She'd seen my worth when I couldn't, her trust a torch in this darkness. The city hummed below, its rhythm syncing with my resolve. They'd come for me soon, their rage a tempest, but I was no longer their pawn. I was Abigail, forged in fire, ready to face their storm with the truth sharper than their lies.
Boston's afternoon sun cast long shadows through my condo, the Charles River a ribbon of silver beyond. The binder of my family's betrayal sat on the island, its pages a testament to years of exploited trust. Rachel had left, her quiet, "You're unstoppable," a spark in my chest. The phone's notifications had slowed, my family's fury simmering into strategy, I reckoned. They'd come, not with apologies, but with demands, and I was braced for the reckoning, my heart a fortress built on Esther's faith and my own hard-won truth. I walked the hardwood floors, the silence thick with anticipation. Clara's latest email confirmed the trust fund audit was underway, Liam's forgery now a legal tripwire. But another thread had unraveled, Sophia's role. Bank records showed she'd co-signed Liam's attempt to access the trust, her name scrawled beside his forged signature. The discovery hit like a squall, her smug gala smile flashing in my mind. She wasn't just complicit, she was a conspirator. Her charm a mask for calculated greed. I added the evidence to the binder, my pen steady as a judge's gavel. I turned to the scholarship plan, sketching its framework on a notepad.
Esther's $50,000 would seed it, but I'd add the $6,000 from the Rolexes and redirect future earnings. It'd support kids like me, overlooked, used, but brimming with potential. The act felt like planting a tree in a storm, a promise of growth despite the chaos. I emailed a nonprofit contact, outlining the fund's mission, my words fierce with purpose. Esther's meme would live on, a beacon for those lost in family shadows. My phone buzzed, a text from cousin Lydia who'd been at the gala. I saw what they did. It was wrong. I'm with you. Her words, simple but real, cracked the isolation I'd carried. I replied, "Thank you. That matters." Lydia's support, like Esther's trust, was a reminder I wasn't wholly alone. I saved her text, a small light in the gathering dark. By evening, the city's lights blinked on, each a pulse of defiance. I rehearsed my stand, the binder my shield, Clara's legal threats my sword. Ma's tears, Pa's bluster, Sophia's pleas, Liam's rage. I'd face them all, unmoved. The gala's intruder taunt had shattered my illusions, but it had also freed me. I wasn't their vault or their fool. I was Abigail, 65 years wise, my worth no longer tied to their approval. The storm was near. I felt it in the air, sharp as a nor'easter's edge. Let them come. I'd meet them with a truth they couldn't twist, a strength they couldn't break, and a future I'd build on my terms, brick by unyielding brick. Boston's night wrapped my condo in a hush, the city's lights a distant flicker against the storm brewing within. The binder, heavy with my family's betrayals, lay open on the kitchen island, Sophia's forged signature beside Liam's forged a fresh scar. Lydia's text had offered warmth, but the chill of my kin's wrath loomed larger, their silence a coiled threat. I stood by the window, the Charles River's dark current a mirror to my resolve, unshaken, forged in the gala's cruel fire. A pounding at the door broke the stillness, urgent as a debt collector's fist. Through the peephole, I saw them, Pa, Ma, Sophia, Liam, faces contorted with fury, a mob of entitlement come to reclaim their vault. I opened the door, my robe a quiet shield, and let them flood my living room, their presence a gale of unspoken accusations. Pa's eyes blazed, his posture demanding I undo the cancellations. The yacht, Hawaii, Liam's loan. Sophia's glare accused me of stealing joy from her children, while Liam's clenched fists hinted at a rage barely leashed. Ma's tears glistened, a performance I'd seen too often, each drop a hook for my guilt. I stood unmoved, their storm no match for the steel in my spine. Crossing to the island, I lifted the binder, its pages a reckoning of a decade's folly. $500,000 poured into their bottomless needs. I slid the spreadsheet before them, its numbers a silent thunderclap. Pa's hand hesitated, Ma's tears faltered, Sophia's smugness cracked, Liam's gaze dropped to the floor, guilt etched into stance. The truth of their greed lay bare, undeniable as Boston's winter cold. Then I played the recording, my voice from that gala night, tear-choked, recounting Pa's intruder command, its venom crisp in the quiet room. Sophia shifted, Liam studied his shoes, Ma's face hardened into defiance, but the evidence held them fast. I opened the binder to the trust fund documents, Sophia's signature a twin to Liam's forgery, proof of their plot to steal Esther's gift while draining my accounts. The air thickened, their bluster punctured by a truth sharper than their lies. Pa's final glare carried a threat of disownment, a tactic that once would have broken me. But I laughed, a sound of liberation, my heart no longer tethered to their approval. I pointed to the door, my gesture final. They had no claim on me, not as kin, not as anything. They filed out, Ma's sobs fading into the hall, a hollow echo of their defeat. The door closed and peace settled, fragile but mine. Lydia's text glowed on my phone, a beacon of alliance. Boston's lights pulsed below, each a spark of my new beginning. I'd faced their tempest and stood tall, no intruder but Abigail, free at last, my future a canvas for a life I'd shape with Esther's strength and my own unyielding will. Boston's autumn unfurled like a tapestry, the Charles River aglow with crimson and gold, its beauty a quiet echo of the peace settling in my heart. 6 months had passed since the gala's bitter sting and the fierce stand against my family's greed. The binder, now stowed in a drawer, was a monument to my liberation. $500,000 given, Sophia and Liam's forgery exposed, their schemes laid bare. Lydia's voice, warm through weekly calls, wove a new thread of kinship, one not bought with coin but earned with truth. My condo, once a silent tower, hummed with life, its walls ringing with laughter I'd claimed, not begged for. My hours with Dr. Ellis, a sage with the gift for unraveling tangled souls, had become my North Star. Her wisdom illuminated the shadows of my childhood, where my role as provider had been etched, blinding me to my own worth. She saw my boundaries not as walls but as foundations, the scaffolding of a life I was building, and I did. My firm on Beacon Hill thrived, 2 new advisors swelling our ranks, my name gracing a finance journal as Boston's wealth management beacon. The energy once siphoned by family demands now fueled ambition, each client's trust, a brick in my legacy. The Esther Scholarship took root, its $56,000 heart, born of the trust fund and Rolex proceeds, offering grants to youth fleeing families that saw them as means, not ends. At a nonprofit gathering, I spoke of its mission, my voice steady, eyes alight with purpose. Esther's name would shine, a lantern for those I'd once been. New bonds blossomed too, forged in a support group of kindred spirits. Marcus, who'd bankrolled siblings only to be cast out, and Lena, whose parents counted her worth in paychecks, joined me from monthly dinners, our shared scars knitting a family truer than blood. Then came a gift unlooked for. Aunt Ruth, Ma's sister, stood at my door, her hands trembling with a sealed envelope. Inside, Esther's handwriting greeted me alongside a bank statement, $200,000 in a second trust, hidden by Ma's deceit. Esther's words sang of my strength, her belief in my heart a fire she'd tended when I was invisible to others. She'd known I'd break free, her trust, a legacy of love, not obligation. Tears fell, not of sorrow, but of gratitude, for a grandmother who'd seen me whole. My family's world, Lydia whispered, had fractured. Pa and Ma fled their Back Bay mansion for a modest flat. Sophia's dreams of grandeur stalled. Liam's schemes crumbled. Their voicemails, guilt, rage, disownment, faded against my resolve, their power broken. Boston's fall wrapped me in promise, my condo alive with plans for a Friendsgiving. Marcus, Lena, Ruth, and Lydia invited. I'd found my place, not in their shadows, but in a light I'd kindled, a life Esther would have raised a glass to, proud and fierce. Winter's breath swept through Boston, the Charles River a silver vein under December's frosty glow. My condo on Commonwealth Avenue, once a fortress of solitude, now pulsed with the warmth of a life reclaimed. 6 months had carved a new path, my firm thriving, the Esther Scholarship lifting young souls, friendships with Marcus and Lena weaving a family truer than blood. Yet a shadow lingered, a final test of my resolve. A message from Pa had arrived, brief as a telegram, asking for coffee at Faneuil Hall, a public square where history whispered of revolutions. My heart stirred, not with fear, but curiosity, tempered by the steel Dr. Ellis had helped me forge. I dressed simply, a wool coat and scarf, my graying hair loose, a quiet defiance of the girl who'd once sought their praise in Chanel. Faneuil's market buzzed with holiday cheer, wreaths and lights framing stalls of cider and crafts. I chose a corner cafe, its windows fogged with warmth, and claimed a table by the door, a post I could abandon if needed. Pa and Ma entered, their steps slower than I recalled, their faces etched with a weariness that tugged at old instincts. Pa's shoulders, once broad with authority, sagged,
Ma's eyes, once sharp with calculation, darted with uncertainty. They sat across from me, their silence heavy, a chessboard awaiting the first move. My pulse quickened, the old pull of duty rising like a tide. Had they changed, or was this another trap, their need cloaked in remorse? Ma's hands fidgeted, her fingers bare of the rings I'd once funded. Pa's gaze fixed on the table, avoiding mine. The air thickened with their unspoken pleas, a familiar dance I'd twirled through for decades. I saw the bait, guilt, the promise of belonging, the role of provider they'd carved for me. My mind flashed to Dr. Ellis's words, not spoken, but felt, urging me to hold the line. I breathed deep, the cafe's coffee scent grounding me, and let the moment stretch, a test of their intent. Their silence broke in gestures, not words. Ma slid a card across the table at holiday invite to their new condo, modest now, stripped of Back Bay's grandeur. Pa's hand trembled, offering a photo of Sophia's children, their eyes wide with Christmas hope. The message was clear. Return to us, fund us, and be family again. My heart ached for those children, caught in their parents' web, but I saw the snare beneath the sentiment. This was no olive branch, but a hook, baited with nostalgia and obligation. I pushed the card back, my hand steady, my resolve a lighthouse in their storm. The act was a spark, igniting their desperation. Pa's face reddened, his fists clenching as if to summon old threats. Ma's eyes welled, a performance I'd seen through countless times. I felt the weight of their expectations, the role they'd scripted for me. Savior, ATM, the daughter who paid for love. But I was no longer that girl. I stood, my chair scraping the floor, and left the photo untouched. The cafe's chatter faded as I walked out, the cold air a balm to my racing heart. I'd faced their final gambit and emerged whole, my boundaries not just drawn but etched in granite. Boston streets sparkled with holiday lights, each a beacon of the life I'd built. My condo awaited, its rooms aglow with plans for a Christmas gathering, a celebration of chosen kin. Marcus arrived first, his laugh a melody of shared survival, followed by Lena, her warmth a shield against old wounds. Ruth and Lydia brought pies and stories, their presence a bridge to a family redefined. My firm's new advisors joined, their respect earned, not bought, and Natalie, ever my rock, raised a toast with cider, her eyes gleaming with pride. The table groaned with turkey and cranberries, but the true feast was connection, untainted by demands. As laughter filled the air, I felt Esther's spirit, her trust in me a flame that never dimmed. The scholarship bearing her name had already sent 2 young women to college, their letters of gratitude pinned to my fridge, a daily reminder of purpose. My family shadow, Pa's anger, Ma's tears, Sophia's greed, Liam's schemes, had faded, their power broken by my refusal to bend. I'd learned my worth wasn't in what I gave, but in who I was, a truth Dr. Ellis had helped me claim. The city's skyline glittered beyond, a canvas of possibility, each light a step toward a future I'd shape. This journey, from Gala's sting to Christmas's glow, was no easy road. There'd be more tests, more moments when guilt whispered of old roles, but I had found a strength deeper than their demands, a peace no check could buy.
If my tale of breaking free from those who'd see you as a purse rather than a person stirs your heart, drop a like below. It fuels this storyteller's fire. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it, someone fighting to claim their worth. And if you're with me for the long haul, hit that subscribe button on my YouTube channel for more stories of redemption, raw and real. Your worth ain't measured by what you give, but by the soul you carry. Thank you for walking this Boston road with me.